Well, hello again, there, my fair humans and needy people and people who are going through stuff in life and that need some sort of voice of comfort. And if you were looking for that here, I'm sorry. Welcome to the Husky Bamboo podcast. This is Ariel Duran, the Husky Bamboo in question. And I'm hoping everyone is well. I hope everyone is doing fine at home, doing what you need to do in order to sustain yourself and your family and your friends. That's a little too much. You don't have to depend, unless you want to. And if you don't, you don't. You do whatever you got to do. Anyway, I hope everyone is well, and hope that you like the new intro music that yours truly did, hence why it sucks. Be nice to me. I'm trying to, expand my horizons and whatnot. So last podcast, apparently too many MFs were said on my part, and I know these podcasts are are made with the intention of me being me, but sometimes, you said so many words that are not conducive to good behavior and whatnot. So I apologize, I guess, for being a potty mouth. Although this is not a secret for anyone that actually knows me. So, as I did last podcast, I will fill in the time talking about stuff that's happening out there. This past week, it was an eventful week, another eventful week, especially for those in comedy. With Dave Chappell getting attacked while doing, or starting to do a bit, or his stand-up routine on the Hollywood Bowl. Apparently it was some rapper that attacked him and tried to attack him. I don't know. All I know is that he received a giant cauldron can of whoop ass courtesy of the security crew on the Dave Chappell detail, and his ass was royally kicked, and rightfully so, because you attacked another person while doing their what they do. I mean, that for us metalheads, that gave me just watching the handheld camera videos. Just gave me a PTSD remembering what happened to Dimebag Darrell back in the day. If you know, you know. If you don't know, Google it. And so, thankfully nothing happened to Dave, and I don't know what was the motivation behind the dude jumping on Dave Chappelle. All I know is that he had his ass royally kicked, and he goes out scot-free because apparently in California, unless you physically murder someone in cold blood in front of everybody, decapitate the dead body, and then start drinking the blood coming out of that dead head. Sorry for the very harsh illustration, but it gets to a point. Because what I'm trying to say is that apparently you have to do something very extreme in order to get jail time in California. Hence, one of the reasons why you will not catch me dead living there. Unless God tells me to go there. But I mean, he has to tell me literally, not like, oh, I have a feeling, I think God is telling me. No. Like, literally has to show up in person and is like, yeah, I need you to go over there. Those are my conditions, and they have been recorded and documented for time immemorial. Anyway, so yeah, what do you say to that? What do you say where we're starting to live in a world where there are no consequences? I cringe at the idea of thinking what will become of this world. If that is the case, I don't want to live in that type of world. Not that I will. How did Deadpool say it in the Spider-Man country? I don't want to unalive myself for that. Okay, so But what I'm saying is that it's a scary world we're living in right now, where you can't say your piece, you can't even joke about certain things. And I'm a very free speech kind of guy. Obviously, I speak. I curse a lot. I confess myself as a Christian. I identify myself as a Christian. Funny how that word comes out nowadays when you say I identify myself. And everybody seems to have to bow down and just like, oh, yes, we have to accept it, because if not, look, you are what you are, and you who you are. And I believe that whatever, be yourself and I'll be myself. And I, as the same way that you want me to respect who you are, respect me for who I am. So there. In terms of what this dude did to Dave Chappelle, I do think he should suffer the consequences of his actions, not just getting his ass kicked, but also spending some sweet ass time in jail, because he didn't just tackle Dave Chappelle. The intent was unaliving him. That was the intent. He wanted to make him unalive. I apologize that I'm being very. It's just that with my wife telling me all the curse words that I said, it's like making me very self-aware of me cursing a lot, which I do in my personal life. I curse a lot. That was the upbringing that I was brought into. I mean, I had a father that, not to poo poo on him or shit on him and blame him on this. This is my calls. It's my decision to curse and whatnot. But I did get the example out of my daddy. And also, this is what happens when you let kids watch HBO in the 80s, watching old Richard Pryor and George Carlin specials, and Andrew Dice Clay as well. So this is what happens. And Eddie Murphy. I can't forget Eddie Murphy. So yeah, this is what happens when you let little kids have access to that type of you can't expect them come singing all the time, "Come all ye faithful," you know. This is the consequences of those actions anyways. So yeah, that dude should be in jail, and I don't know why he's out there. I don't know why. I mean, it was documented that he had not so good intentions towards Dave in terms of his attack. So yeah, dude should be in jail. So let's fix that. This week, as if I didn't have to tell you, I'm a comic book geek, and I have my little collection of comics or trade paperbacks, and I draw a little, not a lot, especially these days. But this past week, we suffered the loss of two pillars in the comic book community, from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Neil Adams and George Perez. These two guys were one of the best. I mean, I would say they're in the top 5 of greatest comic book artists of all time. Neil Adams and George Perez. Neil Adams worked in comics, I think, from the late 60s till, this very day and age. Till he passed. I didn't know that he had any ailments. He died I think he was 80. I would dare say a lot of what we know as comic books, the modern day, or like the traditional way of how to draw the human anatomy in comics, I would dare say much of it is due to Neil Adams. Yet his style is completely different from everyone else's. It's a lot more expressive. His poses, positions, the body composition, very different, very him. It's a very unique style, and his facial expressions are very expressive. They're not so cartoony, they're not so much cartoony. It's more like it's a very weird way how to describe it. But it was all him. It was all Neil. And not only was he a awesome, great penciler, a comic book artist, he also was one of the guys who helped out in giving Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster their dues, respect, because they were basically forgotten people. And these people, if you don't know who I'm talking about, were the creators of Superman, among other DC creations as well. But they created Superman, and if I have to explain who Superman is, then we have more troubles now than we need to explain. Because I think Superman is the end all be all of superheroes. Because whether you like the character or not, that's the one that started it all. They were comic heroes before Superman, but Superman was kind of like he's the measuring stick. He's the spark that started the whole comic book movement. And Neil was instrumental in getting the recognition to the creators that they needed. So Neil was a godsend for those people. Made sure that their last days on Earth were better days and not dying in obscurity and being forgotten for all time. That's just one of the good things that Neil did. But also, his art speaks for himself. It's there for us. I mean, his run in Batman with Dennis O'Neil, I think it's one of the best Batman runs ever. And the infamous illustration of Batman shirtless with his mask on, fighting Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, or you want to call him, shirtless with all the hair in his chest. And you know, Neil didn't just work on DC. He worked in Marvel too. He did awesome work in X-Men, and he was just a great all-around artist. And so it's tragic that he is no longer with us. So, but also we have the legend that was the past this weekend. This past weekend. Well, as I'm recording this, you'll be listening to this. It will be the next weekend. But this, George Paris passed away, and George Paris was sad because if you've been hearing the news, you know that he was going through some hard times, health-wise. He was, I think it was diabetes. I'm not 100% sure. That don't quote me. But let's just speak about his art. His art was unique. He can do multiple characters all in one time, in one page. His Avengers, Justice League thing, oh my god! And the run he had with Wolfman and the Teen Titans, which is the definitive run, and also not to even mention what I believe is one of his, if not his best work, was a Crisis of Infinite Earths. Man, that was a complex story. If you buy the trade paperback about that, it's going to be the thickness of a Bible. Is that thick? It's extremely thick, and it's extremely big, and a lot of stuff to put in. But it was a attempt to reboot the DC universe back in the mid '80s, and they hired the best artist for the job, in my opinion, in George. And he did an awesome job. He always delivered the goods. And now 2 pillars of the comic book industry have passed. And I would, in my podcast, I haven't said anything on social media, but in my podcast, I would like to give them their due respect, their due, and say thank you for your work. Thank you for opening doors for comic book artists to do their illustrations, and thank you for being the visual aid for entire generations that enjoy these characters for Marvel and DC, you know, the big two. So rest in peace, Neil Adams. Rest in peace, George Paris. And we are in mourning as comic book geeks. We are in mourning. So rest in peace to both of you giants, and thank you once again for your contributions and for helping us visualize these larger than life figures and keeping our imaginations running through that visual aid. Thank you. Now let's go into the murky waters with it, which is it's my life. I know I've been going on a tangent lately about my reconnecting with the God part of my life, and I am sad to report that it's just getting worse. It is just getting worse. I'm getting more deep dive. I'm diving deeper into my faith. I don't know if that's bad or good. I don't know. Anyway, I'm reading more the good book and also journaling and trying to find a point that, like, I'm trying to rebuild the part that like, well, not me trying to rebuild. Let me rephrase that. I'm trying to find the part where everything fell off the wagon and trying to, connect the dots and make things better again. This weekend, I had to give a testimony of where I've been and what I've gone, and I gave somewhat a bullet point presentation of the things in my life, and apparently this is cause of like, whoa, my God, you survived all this. I guess you can be amazed at the things I've survived. Okay, like, let me recap, and I apologize if I bore you to death with these details. Okay, so I survived a rocky household with the Holy War thing. My dad being evangelical Pentecostal Christian and my mother Catholic. Went to my dad's side because I saw the honest change that he went through converting because he was basically agnostic atheist, living a hedonistic lifestyle. He didn't go men for men, but he kept it the traditional way, and he believed in entrepreneurship in terms of, continuing and expanding the role and like basically that one thing that almost every atheist and every human being on earth that is a womanizer does, like multiply, fill in the earth. Like some of these dudes take that commandment, they take it as a commandment and take it to stride. It's like God was telling me that, not the rest of y'all, me. So my dad wasn't exactly like that, but he tried. He gave it the good old college try. So and when I saw the change in him, that made me change, and I was like, well, this was obviously God. So I went where he went. And depending, not depending, that's not the right word. And I'm grateful for the experience, the good and the bad, because there was bad and there was good. But I'm grateful for the experience. But as you can tell by the tone of my voice, it's not like it was yay. It was more like yay. Really? That? I mean, I'm talking about a man that just because he caught me watching in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, the one where they went back to feudal Japan, and he caught me watching that with my brother, and he said I was going to burn in hell for watching that movie. Technically, he might have been right. He might have been right, because let's face it, after one, it just went downhill from there. Anyway, I went through, I started journaling again because that was a suggestion that the current pastor in the church I'm going to gave us on Sunday school. Because I was like, yeah, I used to journal. So I was like, yeah, journaling is good. Journal and write down the stuff that you're going through, so that way when God takes you to the other side, you can remember and see, yeah, I survived this. And I was like, Well, damn right. So I bought my little journal and I started writing, and I have a week now writing stuff. And the first thing I did in that little journal is I wrote everything that I could remember that I've gone through, that I've survived. And when I started doing that, I started realizing, whoa, wait a minute. I've taken this like for granted, and I joke around and I cuss a lot, but then I see the stuff that I've survived, and you could say it was God, you can say whatever it is, but you can say that, yeah, I survived this. I'm here. I'm still here. I'm not running away from anything, you know? So yeah, so I'm thankful. I'm thankful for surviving. I'm thankful for being here. I'm thankful for my wife and my children, my child. I only have one. I'm sure of it. Believe me. Uh, I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for everything that I've gone through to this point. And right now, I feel more at peace. I feel more chill. I feel more at ease with myself. So I'm reading more. I'm journaling more. And I'm trying to reconstruct, not me trying, like make me holding in glue, though, no. I'm learning to trust more in the invisible. Like, if there is a God, well, let's put this damn thing to the test then. Oh, so there is a God. Okay, let's put this damn thing to the test. Back in the day, it was more easier for me to believe because I was more naive. Now I'm more cynical. I'm more of a cynic bastard. Because of all the things that I've gone through in life, I've become a cynical bastard. And I have very big, giant trust issues now. So it's not easy for me to trust God as I used to back in the day because now I'm a cynic. I'm a cold-hearted bastard that sees things in black and white in terms of dealing with people, in terms of the outlook in life and what all of that. So I'm keeping my eyes open and letting God know, like, okay, so you say who you say you are. Let's put that to the test. Okay, so I'm going to throw the ball and I'm going to leave it in your court and let's see what you do. So let's see what is it you do. I'm going to trust you. So I'm going to let go of all the things that I've tried to control on myself, all the things that I've said that I'm going to be holding on to. Okay, let's see what you can do. So we're in this point in life right now. We're in a point in life that I have devoided myself of all bullshit, and this is going back. And I've been reminded of this whole week. Something inside of me has reminded me a whole week about this. That back in 2014, when the whole process of me and my declining of faith started, I remember that I did this prayer, and I believe now that that prayer has been in part answered. The prayer was, I want the real stuff. I'm done with religion. I'm done with the religious bullshit. I want the real thing. I want the real stuff. I want the real. I don't want bullshit anymore in my life. I'm tired of bullshit. I want the real stuff. I want the reality. I want the real God experience. I want you to remove all religious bullshit out of my life. I want the real relationship. I want the real. I don't want the bullshit. I want the real. So I had to be stripped out of all bullshit of my life, starting with the stupid, diabolical prosperity gospel. That was the first thing that went out the window, and then everything else. I've had to reconstruct my faith and find a way to reconstruct it because I had to remove all that was bullshit in my head, in my heart, in my mind, and reconnect it back to something that is actual, factual relationship with God. And at this juncture, it hasn't been done yet. I'm not saying it's done, but I feel that this is the closest I've ever been to it. I feel very close to it. I may be wrong. Maybe I'm bullshitting myself. I don't know. But so far, so good. I like this church. The more that I've talked to the people in the church, the more I feel like these are people that have gone to similar situations that I have. These are people that have gone through hardcore religious BS and have come out of the other side and decided, okay, no more of this. No more of this. Good. So I feel that God has guided me to the right choice of being in this church. So I'm happy about that. I'm very happy about that. So that is the point of time that I will now start saying the goodbyes for the podcast because we had to end it somewhere. Just to remind y'all, the website, huskybarboopod.com, where you can listen to all the episodes of the Husky Barboo podcast, which with this one would be 70 of them. If you're listening to this one, there are 69 other podcasts of this thing. Yes, we have that many. Some of them good, some of them suck donkey balls. But they're there. You can listen to all of them. They're there for posterity, not prosperity. Jesus Christ. Believe me, I haven't seen a dime out of this. So yeah, there's the website. There's other episodes. You can also follow the podcast on the social media, Husky Barboo Pod, on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find me, the fat guy that's talking and wasting his saliva and his vocal cords, talking to y'all, Ariel, at that Ariel Duran. And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter as well. Thinking about maybe returning to doing videos. I did buy some equipment to get us back on track and doing videos, but I really don't think that this is the best idea right now because I don't think my mug, especially some of the days when I record these, I'm like half asleep. Giving out all the tricks, aren't I? Anyway, the thing is, I'm still considering. But we'll see when this expands to something else. Anyway, this has been Ariel. This has been the Husky Barboo Podcast. I'm hoping that all of you have been well, and I hope that this has been somewhat entertaining and somewhat amusing at least. So take care. Bye.